hands, we did mention that WikiMedia Nigeria has been a forerunner in this space in terms of advocacy work on the continent. And it's very exciting to see that they are able, sort of like working with partners in this space to champion the work of free open knowledge in Nigeria. Today we will try our best to unpack some of the opportunities, some of the, without much further ado, I'd like to introduce my panel. So to my left, I have Mr. Shola. Mr. Shola, can you introduce yourself, and then we'll follow with the next panelist, and then we'll go online to those online, and we'll go to the people online to also introduce themselves. So over to you, Mr. Shola.
Yes, as already mentioned, my name is Shola Alani, President WikiMedia Nigeria, and Chairman of the Board of Trustees, WikiMedia Nigeria Foundation. We are co-organizers of this conference. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Prince I head the investment unit at the Nigerian Corporation Commission. Thank you.
So we can go online now. Sissy, can we introduce yourself?
Foundation. Thank you so much for having me join the panel today.
Thank you. And then we have our next panelist from the Planning Initiative. Mr. Adeboye, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us who you are. Thank you very much for the introductions. We will zoom right into it. And so, for those of you who have not maybe thought about advocacy as a kind of work in the media space, I hope this conversation will provide you the opportunity in the audience to be able to try it out. Without much further ado, I'd like to put this here on the spot. This you have been doing a lot of policy and advocacy work at the WikiMedia Foundation. Can you tell us how advocacy within the WikiMedia Foundation supports the global mission to promote free knowledge, particularly in regions like Nigeria where access to information is limited?
Of course, happy to do so. I think everybody in this room is drawn to the WikiMedia movement specifically because of this mission, because access to free knowledge is something that is incredibly important to uphold civil institutions in our societies, to make sure that cultural heritage is protected, preserved, access and used for educational purposes. And of course, Wikipedia itself is really the central cornerstone of the broader information ecosystem, whether you're talking to journalists or again, you're just trying to inform people during a moment of crisis like the COVID epidemic. But at the same time, even though it's so important, we all also have experience that access to free knowledge isn't a given. It's not something that's guaranteed. Our digital grandma, I know, is somebody who feels really strongly about the fact that actually it's a pretty radical idea to think that everybody should be able to access knowledge freely all over the world. And right now, Wikipedia, I would say, and the Wikipedia movement is really an outlier in terms of the world that we have access to online. It's really a digital world that's privatized, where it's dominated by for-profit platforms. We're seeing paywalls and guardrails be built up around information online. You either need to pay with money to access information through subscriptions, or you're paying with your privacy because you have to provide your data and make yourself available to tracking and targeted advertisements. And the media platforms are view where this isn't something that you need to do. And at the same time, we were also challenged by threats like censorship that could look like internet shutdowns, something I know people probably have experience with, tracking, as I mentioned, but of course, disinformation and misinformation campaigns can also corrupt your ability to access knowledge that is verified that is factual, that is neutral. And so sharing knowledge freely requires really specific legal and political conditions to thrive. And that's why advocacy work is so important for our movement. And I know in this movement, we love to fight about definitions. So I'm going to take a step back and provide a definition of what public policy advocacy actually means for the team of the community foundation. For us, it's work that's being done to shape legal environments, so the regulatory ecosystem in which our movement exists, and the goal is always to impact government legislation. So the targets here are national and international laws, trade agreements, human rights frameworks, and other regulations and norms that are set specifically by governments and lawmakers. And I highlight that because we can do a lot of advocacy work every single day, but often that advocacy work is not public policy advocacy. They're instead trying to work with galleries, libraries, archives, and museums to perhaps start to adopt open licenses and change their institutional policies to make sure they're contributing content to the public domain. So again, we're talking about making sure governments start to create an environment in which we can continue to do the work that we want to do. And that's why we need to advocate for policies that not just protect free knowledge, but also we need to work on advocacy initiatives that will try to combat government initiatives that can also threaten our movement. So it's both proactive and reactive.
Thank you thank you very much for elaborating that, Siski. I just wanted to follow up with another question. I want you to, so you've explained what policy advocacy means and some of the work that we've done in the foundation, but could you give us one or two examples of those specific works you've done and how they impacted the content graphic in terms of like the work we do?
Yeah, of course. So some of the big campaigns that we've been running have been around the Global Digital Compact. You can think of this as a really big international pledge, like the SDGs, of what governments say they're going to do to make the internet a good place, or continue to ensure the internet is a good place that's right, respecting that everybody can have access to and can participate in without fear of harm. And there's a bunch of different actors in countries, civil society organizations, nonprofits, and also companies that are trying to influence what the final shape of this pledge or document will look like. And our movement has also been involved. We're one of the few actors that can really say we represent people all over the world who are coming together on a joint mission. And this is a campaign that really hasn't been steered by the foundation. We've sort of just taken a convening role in that. And we've worked really closely with 10 to 12 affiliate partners from the European movement, and also really close allied organizations like Access Now and Article 19 and Paradigm Initiatives in the room, to make sure that the final form is something that's going to promote the work that we're trying to do as a movement. And Shola, I know, is here as a distinguished panelist. She's been a really close partner, really participant in this work. And so on that campaign, we've done things like host events, online and offline. We've published a really big open letter that was circulated widely and asked people to sign. And it's all coming to a head in about 2 weeks at the UN General Assembly that will be taking place in New York, where we also have a really big side event and we're going to do a really big press push and social media campaign that again, we're going to ask all of our partners to support. And that's just one example of sort of at the international level. You can try to influence things that will trickle down into government policies at the national level. And also, as people in this room know, we try to do a lot of support for partner events, allied organizations in different countries and across different continents. And so we sponsored Paradigm Initiatives based big annual events. The Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum, and been able to help with communities participate, showcase their work at that event. And that's really essential because not only does it mean more of our regional partners get to see the great work that you're doing around education, preserving and promoting the get to see that other people are reacting really positively and making that connection to that, hey, Wikimedia actually is a super important voice in advocacy work. And then maybe they'll invite you the next time when they're hosting a conference or a panel session on data privacy rights.
Thank you, Ziski. That example, Shola, I did hear Ziski mention some of the great efforts on the continent. I think it was also mentioned for the exploits that you've been doing or trying your hands at in Nigeria. How have you, as Wikimedia Nigeria or as Wikimedia in Nigeria, played a role around efforts? Let me just rephrase this. So let's say, how has your advocacy efforts in Nigeria affected local communities in terms of awareness and participation in your affairs?
Hello. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Question. I think all policy awareness when it comes to the Wikimedia communities in Nigeria started officially some decades, but after engaging in series of advocacies and campaigns that involves around creating awareness for Wikipedia and its system projects. In 2017, I'm going to go a bit memory. Wikimedia Foundation carried out a research work around awareness of Wikipedia and its sister projects in Nigeria. We were surprised that we had to come up with research because the research said that only 27% of internet users in Nigeria are aware of Wikipedia. Until when we drilled down, we could not understand why it was so. If you have over 100 people in this auditorium before 2014 or 2017, that do they know Wikipedia? All of them will say this. But if you ask your question a bit and ask, can you edit Wikipedia? Only 2 out of 100 will say yes. Wikipedia does not just end by just going there to search for questions or to read about articles, but it's also more about being able to interface with a platform to promote those notable information, articles, or information, or thereabouts. So, the outcome of that report actually shows that yes, Nigerians are aware of Wikipedia, but they don't really know how to use Wikipedia. So we have to go down to work to begin to look at how we can influence, one, the people, the users, and also understand who are those people that are the users of Wikipedia. And that was what came back to our first education campaign program called the WikiConference Club, where we have to work with tertiary institutions in Nigeria to establish autonomous body within the school where students in tertiary institutions will engage with Wikipedia. And having done that, that did not just only help in creating awareness of Wikipedia, but it has also helped in demystifying the existing narrative about the fact that Wikipedia is not reliable. Before then, quite a number of universities will not allow Wikipedia to be cited in their desert or projects. But today, the situation has changed tremendously. We do not just have tertiary institutions as our partner, but you will see PhD holder professors are now members of our community. But we've been able to show them, to demystify the narrative, that Wikipedia is not an end to itself, but a means to an end. So, and that has changed my mind. And also, talking about the impact of our advocacy on local community, we've been able to also engage local speakers of indigenous language on the impact of using Wikipedia as one of the most referenced, most accessed online encyclopedia in promoting languages. So these are some of the key things that we do in our advocacy work campaign in helping to create awareness of Wikipedia among local communities. Thank you.
So practically, you are using the focus as a means of raising awareness of Wikipedia. And in that sense, I just want to move to the Adekoye of Pride Initiative. So, Adekoye Pride Initiative was very well known for advocating digital rights across Africa. And I happen to be able to participate in your very recent conference. My question to you is, how do you see the role of digital rights activists in aligning with the goals of Wikimedia in the region, and particularly assuring free and open?
Alpha. We go busy. 10 minutes. Alpha.
I think that Wikipedia does a lot of great work in terms of vision. But I think the findings that spoken to Michelle in terms of level of awareness of what Wikipedia does, not just the Nigerian continent generally. I think that people don't know very much about what Wikipedia does. People who would assume should know, right? But I think that the relevance of digital rights advocacy work of Wikipedia is that it helps to advance the objectives of Wikipedia in terms of when you advance for open, free internet, it's aligned perfectly with what Wikipedia is trying to do, because when the internet is a closed space, it is stifled, and also the conflict with intellectual property law can make the objective of Wikipedia, it can be problematic for the objective of Wikipedia, and that's why there is a strong alignment between people who do advocacy and Wikipedia generally. And I think that in order to advance that interest, it's very important for Wikipedia as a matter of fact to also be very more focal in digital rights objectives and advocacy. We need to see more of Wikipedia involvement in some of the work that we do in terms of engaging political authorities, in terms of engaging the legislative process, advocating for law that supports the openness of the internet, because it's really interesting. And thank God that we have representation from the United States Commission. One of the interesting dynamics of data protection laws is that you want data to be protected, but then there is also issues around access to information. So what information should we have access to? What information should be protected? These are some of the thorny issues that are at the heart of digital rights advocacy. For example, in the Nigerian data protection law, for example, keys are essential to law enforcement, right? Because of the nature of their work. One of the arguments we are doing as digital rights advocacy is that out of our journalists, what's essential that we need to be able to access information that probably will not be accessible to an average person. And journalists will do their work effectively if they don't have access to certain type of information. And that will also apply to the kind of work that Wikipedia does as well. So for Wikipedia to do that work effectively, there has to be limitations to kind of restriction that should place on the information. But I have one last thing I want to say before I move on, is that also the alignment with information. Linguistic diversity is a very strong digital rights objective, and it doesn't get talked about a lot. We worry a lot about what we can do with technology as Africans, as Nigerians. We worry a lot about why the biggest innovation is not coming from our part of the world. But we don't interrogate how the issue of linguistic diversity affects what people can do with the power of technology. If the only way you can access technology is by the second language, it already limits what you can do with that technology. And it can also limit how far technology can influence the community, especially for rural areas or people who are not as educated as most of us. So we need to restrict that issue of linguistic diversity Indigenous rights objects now direct us to the African Declaration of Internet Rights and Freedom. The linguistic diversity is a key element of that declaration. This issue has not been on the forefront of digital rights advocacy, but I think it's important we should bring it to the forefront, and I'm challenging Wikimedia to be the number one advocate for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adewale. Mr. Brace, well, I'd like you to answer something that I put you for here, but I'd like you to answer something that you have mentioned. How do you play the subject? How do you play the balancing act between access to
Good morning. I would like to mention something here. Since when we talk about data protection and privacy, it feels like it's limited. It feels like it's trying to do some asset rights and all, but that's not correct. So, for us as the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, we are very much being engaging the public and sensitizing them on what we expect them to do. So, for data protection access, what I will mention is this. Before the introduction of the Nigerian Data Protection Act, the only available access to privacy rights would be the Nigerian Constitution in Nigeria, except for the reckoning to the GDPR services global. But in Nigeria, you find out that Section 37 of the Nigerian Constitution just gave a blanket provision, a very ambiguous provision, says that the rights of Nigerian citizens and telegraphic information is hereby guaranteed. Now, that section is without explanation, without subsection. It does not give you view on how this protection would come about. Now, the Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023 came to explain these things. So, you are not being restricted from accessing information. However, it is saying that for you to access information of certain type, express personal information, you must have certain things in place. So if you look at Section 24 of our Act, it now includes things in place that you make sure that information that is going out there is present, as we call it, the subject, the data subject, it must be true, lawful, transparent, and mention some of that criteria in that Section 24. And then it says something. I hope you mentioned that the data protection laws have exempted military and certain armed setup in Nigeria. How about journalists and all? So I'm surprised to hear that because Section 3 of our Act makes ample protection. And one of the things that relates to media, what you do is provide access to information. Now, we find out that journalistic work and artistic work are exempted. Then I would like to bring some of that so that I could balance. So, Section 3 of the Act is this act shall not apply to the processing of personal data carried out by one or more persons solely for personal or household purposes, provided that such processing for personal or household purposes does not constitute a violation of the fundamental right to privacy of the data subject. Subsection D says, in respect of publication in the public interest for journalism, educational, artistic, and literary purposes, to the extent that such obligations and rights are incompatible with such purpose. So I just want to mention to you that these are inclusive. However, in doing whatever you are expected to do, you are required to look at the requirements. That requirement is under Section 4 that talks about the principle of data processing.
because your last statement mentioned that the category of people like us are somewhat exempted from the NDP. And my question is that, are you saying that the NDP are some of the restrictions on contributors of the Wikimedia space?
If because of your activity, because of your activity, we expect you to abide by the provisions of the Act. Now, the Act has extensive provisions. It has things that has to do with legal obligations and stuff like that, right? So, what we require from you is, in the course of what you are doing, have this thing at the back of your mind, right? Now, take for instance, you take information of the personal data of someone for the purposes of artistic or literary work. We expect you to limit that purpose. Assuming you get consent from someone to use this information, just like you share this information, and then you get the person's consent to use information in that regard. We expect that you limit it to that. We have situations where people's personal data are sold for some other purposes other than the original purpose. So what we do is to put in place, okay, we are not going to regulate you, we are not going to register with us, but in whatever you're doing, make considerations of this section and 36 and a half, 24, 25, 32, 41, and the like. That's what we
So my follow-up question was going to be, what steps should we take as Wikimedians to be compliant? You have mentioned some of them, for example, you mentioned we're not using it for any other purpose than it's intended, and also understanding the criteria for the procedures given with the criteria. Are there any other things that we pay attention to as Wikimedians in order to comply with this NDP Act? NDP Act.
Yes. Okay, so ordinarily, the Act expresses that data controllers and processors of major importance must register with the Commission. So what it entails is that we want to know whom you supply the information to. Okay, as relates to theory, the Act has made an exemption for artistic, literary journalism and all, that you may not register with us, right? However, for these things to come to light, you are expected to put in some mechanisms like get some economical setup, maybe an app or something, and the developers of this app are expected, if you're working with some developers, they're expected to comply with the provisions of this act. So it is a responsibility on you under section 7.3 of our Act that you ensure that your agents, it's not just you. Take for instance, you are supplying information for something here. Our National Commission was here yesterday and right? So there's maybe a little biography about him or some sort of stuff there. And you are privileged to that information by the virtue of communication. And you are probably giving it to the printer out there. So we expect you to ensure that that printer understands data protection and privacy. So we don't just engage any random person. We engage people who are compliant. In their own case, you might not register with us, but when demanding bidding for jobs and stuff like that, you should be interested in knowing those who are compliant with the NDP Act. So situations like that, okay, I want to give contracts. You don't just give contracts to random persons. You give contracts to people who understand data protection and privacy, who understand the value of data in their hands, that they will not misuse it. They will not use it for purposes other than the original intent. That is what we expect from you.
So the only ways of us to actually employ or engage all the agents that understand.
Very good.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Shola, I see you have a comment. You want to make a comment? What do you have to share?
Barrister, thank you for that clarification. Yes, we understand that Wikipedia has exempt based on the Constitution, the policy. But then, based on this license as well, having collected information, data, based on the classifiers, we don't have power over the usage of it. Anyone can go to Wikipedia to make use of it illegally. They can commercialize it, do whatever they want. That's what the license says. We are research.
Okay, there's something you can do to protect yourself, and that would be the privacy policy on your page. So your privacy policy on your page is like an exemption clause. Just like when you drive in here and you see by the wall that has a part that owners. Now that is kind of protecting you from that situation. So your privacy policy should be explicit, telling how data collected for this purpose is used, how it is retained, how it is embedded, and all. So it is no longer for you that someone, after going through this information, the person decides to use the information obtained from your page in a particular way. It is now our responsibility to, yes, go after such person. But where we have an issue with we expect that you know these things. We have asked you to abide by the principles, we have asked you to abide by the content of our acts, and you fail to do it. So we look at things like your policies, like do you inform people on the type of data you make use of, right? So while going through your page, I saw a privacy policy there, but then there's something that we also expect you to do. Because most people, when they put up the privacy policy, they refer to the European GDPR. But we are stating this thing, we are making it ours. So we expect, there's a law now, prior to 2023, you might get away with that. But currently, we expect that you not just state any privacy policy, but privacy policy that relates to the people of Nigeria. So, and the law regulating that is the Nigerian Data Protection Act. So we expect that you link it to Nigerian Data Protection Act. And I would say, if you engage with us, like there's so much open relation from us. If you engage with us in the sensitization that we are having, you have the goal to improve your activity. Thank you.
Finally, Wikipedia server is always even highly connected whatever this content and this data we decide. How do we manage territorial movements of information from one locality to another?
Okay, and you are practically asking me about cross-border information. Yes, so section 41 of our law is explicit on cross-border. We don't expect you to take information concerning Nigerian data sockets to where you cannot be enforced. Take for instance, go to one African country where there are laws that have been promulgated, and then you want to enforce laws concerning data protection. It's practically impossible. The law section of our act that talks about application of our law is interested in even data controllers who are not in Nigeria, but dealing with the data of Nigerian subjects in Nigeria. So you goes to your information
wọ́n ti sọ fún wọn pé táwọn èèyàn bá ti débẹ̀ kíkẹ́ sọ fún wọn
ensure that you don't post your information where
no problem ẹ gbé fóònù fún ẹni kò sí wàhálà ẹ gbé fóònù.
will not be protected. So take for instance, if you
ẹ gbé fóònù fún ẹni tó wá bá yín. Báwo ni
data say in South Africa, you know that there is data protection law in South Africa, there is data protection authority in South Africa, that in the event anything happens, like we are sure that the data protection authority will be able to protect the information of Nigerian citizens. Likewise, some of these European countries, we know that these things are in place. But take, for instance, go to Mali or Burkina Faso in present time. We cannot guarantee that. So we are particular about that data transfer in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing and elaborating on that. I see Dr. Nkem has joined us. Dr. Nkem, would you mind introducing yourself, who you are, and where you're from, and what organization you represent?
Hello, thank you very much, Felix. Glad to see you here. Wish I was there. I planned very well. Sometimes the things we wish for don't come to pass like that. So I am MCA. I am a librarian. I work for the African Library Information Associations and Institutions, with headquarters in Accra, as the Human Capacity Development and Training Director. I also do stuff on Wikimedia projects. Oh, I am a grandmother. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nkem. Very helpful person all the time. Dr. Nkem, can you tell us what contributions Africa has made towards advancing access to knowledge and information in Africa?
Thank you very much for that, Felix. You see, Africa is that conference that body to Liberians all over Africa. Although our headquarters is in Accra, Ghana, we have membership in 34 African countries, and what we've been doing is to build the capacity of Liberians to understand that there are many ways to provide access to information beyond the books on the shelves and information resources in their repositories and databases and so on. There's new ways of doing things, digital literacy and stuff like that. Also, Africa has been growing up automatically on of according to the things that statement of freedom to access to information, freedom of expression, and we've also done a statement in support of AU's digital transformation strategy. And beyond that, we're also doing partnerships with organizations all over the world. But importantly, one thing that we've been doing is we've been doing this advocacy drives with ministers in African countries in charge of libraries. We've done it twice in South Africa, we've done it once in Ghana. We get funding and we invite all the ministers in charge of libraries to tell them these are the things that the libraries have been doing. If this kind of policies are in place, it will make them to help them to operate better. But all that was before we now started dabbling or we now went into open knowledge initiatives. So we are planning on having that kind of ministerial roundtable meeting to now drive open, specifically open, to tell them that, see, when we are talking about open education or open educational resources in higher institutions, in communities, all of that is good there. What happens to the open data? What happens to sorry for that. What happens to such ministers helping us how we not proclaim to effect control in government publications, so that when government, let's say, government is going to build a bridge or a flyover or stuff like that, we're not even interested in contract stuff or stuff like that. What we're interested in is, did you do the environmental impact thing stuff? Where can you find it? Where can people find it? Where can librarians identify to such things? Where can libraries say if government is doing something, the information about all that can be found in libraries? So that is those are the things that we've been doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Ken. But Ken, I still have a follow-up question to you. So, libraries are vital, play a vital role in preserving indigenous knowledge. How does Zambia advocate for libraries to contribute more significantly to local content on platforms like
Well, for that, in particular for Wikimedia project, we've not gone into that as indigenous languages. But let me tell you what we've been doing. We've been teaching Nigerians through 3 courses now and through other things that we do about the importance of open licensing and how we can use open licensing to get more books, more information resources for your libraries, and that you can translate into your indigenous languages. Right now, Africa has a repository of, I think there are up to 400 storybooks now in different African languages on Story River site, storyriver.org.in, where we teach librarians how do you, if you need a storybook, this is how we know it is open, then this is how we translate it, so that we can have those resources in our libraries. Then in doing that, we found out that quite a number of people find it hard to, they can speak their local languages, but they'll tell you that they can't write. And it is something that an individual has to learn that himself or herself. How do I write my language? And then some, we direct them to where they can get keyboards to help them write, to translate. And the next step, naturally, would be to do that on Wikimedia projects. But right now, we've not really delved into that. But it's as if we have done the groundwork so that they can understand that it's only open licenses that can enable you to translate. And then when you go to other places, you can write in your local language or in your local language. But if you want local language resources in your libraries, and you need them, especially for the younger children, then you have to learn how to translate and understand why open licensing is important in that aspect to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ken. I've just been notified that we have just about 8 minutes to wrap up. So I will do one round of questions, and please, if you can stick to 1 minute, that would be great. And then we will do our pattern shots. So, Ziski, in the same light, like what Dr. Ken has shared, given Africa's rich diversity of languages in Africa, what advocacy efforts is the Wikimedia Foundation pursuing to preserve and promote indigenous languages on platforms like Wikipedia in one minute?
That's a tough challenge. The most advocacy work that we do on this is to make sure that the model of the Wikimedia project, the community-led model, where people who are the stewards have both the responsibility and the right to be stewards of their own culture and their own languages, are able to contribute and continue to document those on our projects. So we do that through a variety of campaigns. Mainly we have a big collaboration with UNESCO. We have a partnership that focuses on language inclusion on the internet, and we're developing with them a world atlas of languages, and we're also going to be starting to do some real policy campaign work to influence UNESCO at the Mondial Culture Conference that's taking place, so between now and that conference, which will take place in September 2025, and we're about to launch that campaign and open a call to action, so Oshola and Tochi and others in the room will be getting an email from me. And of course, we want to make sure that the Canadians can continue to be really active members of civil society, which is under threat in lots of countries around the world. So that looks like finding allies in the local and regional contexts, continuing to show up at major regional events like TRIP, continuing to build partnerships with groups like Paradigm Initiative, like UNICEF in Ghana, who we have the opportunity to work with, like leveraging our partnership with the African Union, and continuing to make sure Wikimedians can participate in major international campaigns that we're running so that they can continue to sharpen those advocacy skills that are required to start influencing governments on topics that are really important, like preservation and promotion of indigenous languages. So there's work being done around WikiLeaks broadcasting and against the ESPN campaign towards an open recommendation on culture and heritage.
Thank you very much, Shiski. I'd like to move to you, Mr. Principal. Can you, in 1 minute, tell us what opportunities exist for collaboration between the NDPC and private or non-profit organizations like us?
Okay. Currently, the Nigeria Data Protection Commission is working with IIM, it is an institute for promotion of licensing and certification of data protection. And what you can do is to partner with the NDPC in developing this idea. What NDPC wants to make out of it is this: they want to create jobs in Nigeria, and by doing so is to certify data protection officers. Now, you can work with these institutes generating materials or promoting the materials from the training or licensing. So I would advise that you think in that light. Currently, we are working with data.org and the responsible data management program. This is some of the things that Wikimedia can leverage on, like promote it, have it go viral. And with that, you're not just promoting yourself, you're promoting digital rights in Nigeria. I also would recommend, currently there's a call for paper from the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. So these are areas where one can easily search on Wikipedia and find information related to this. And another thing is this: I will also advise that you kindly look into the content of your information. So prior to this time, the Nigerian Data Protection was a bureau under an arm of the government called NIDA. And then we had the regulation, which is what a lot of people refer to NDPR. But we have since gone past that, even though there's a section of our law that kind of preserves the regulation. We are currently working on a general application and implementation directive called Guide, sequel to the Act, to bring to light an extensive provision on what the regulation underneath that previously brought. So when I checked on your page, I saw that references are made to the NDPR instead of the NDPR as the Nigerian Data Protection Act, which is the principal act. So this boils down to we talking about you making sure that information is accurate, information is updated. Also, there's a duty of care on you to educate people properly in that regard.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adeboye, very quickly from you. What key strategy, you have been very successful in the advocacy space with your initiatives and programs. What key strategies can the Wikimedia community adopt to advocate for more inclusive digital rights and access to knowledge for underrepresented groups? All right, in 1 minute. In less than 1 minute.
Okay, what I like is power of collaboration. We can't do it alone. So let us not make it a prospect for opportunities that we see to ourselves. I have a very favorite, I have a saying that I love a lot, which is that the limit of your imagination is the limit of possibilities. So if we see freedom from our perspective alone, we limit what is possible. So what I would advise is that we want to see Wikimedia collaborate more. We've already started doing some of that with people. For example, work on with other organizations, work on with us, work on with private people. For example, we are promoting the objective of a digital rights and freedom law in Nigeria currently. Be part of that conversation, look at the draft law, and there are provisions and there are tests that we can include in the law that can advance the cause of Wikimedia. So we want to see more visible those type of conversations. And I think if we do more of this collaboration, our advocacy objective can be realized more easily than if we are pushing it fast. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shola, any parting words for the work in Nigeria going forward and what the future holds for advocacy in Nigeria?
I think my partnership with photographers, and also goes to everyone that is working in the space. Somewhere there in Africa, there's a cliche that says that there's a freedom of information, but the right after your speech is what I cannot protect. So I really want the Nigerian government to make sure the discussion about public changes are inclusive, because there are quite a lot of things that we are hearing for the first time, and we are key stakeholders in this. So thank you.
Thank you very much, my great panelists. Thank you everyone who joined online. I truly appreciate your audience and your comments and thoughts that were shared in the room. We are time, we are over time, we apologize, but thank you so much for listening to us. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, bye.